In this video, we're talking about recovery. This is basically how you take care of your body and brain so that you're physically and mentally ready for more. More family time, more responsibilities at work, more training sessions, more progress on all of your goals with less effort and more efficiency. First, let's talk about what recovery is not, because there are misunderstandings about what it means to recover. Recovery is not doing nothing. It might sound like permission to be able to just park yourself on the couch or stay in bed all day, but that's not actually recovery. If you literally don't move, you don't promote blood flow. And that delays the healing and cell regeneration, which is at the core of recovery. Recovery is also not an excuse to overindulge with extra food, sugary products, or alcohol, because now your body is actually forced to deal with that instead of putting its efforts into recovery. So if recovery isn't those things, what is it? Well, we believe recovery has 5 components. And when you understand how to take charge of those areas and prioritize the things that we're going to be sharing with you, you'll find that you are actually consistently much stronger. And you'll discover that strength both physically with more stamina and endurance in your body, as well as strength mentally with better focus, creativity, and confidence to navigate through stressful situations without absorbing that stress into your own nervous system. On page 105 of your playbook, you can see we've given you a place to be able to take some notes, and it looks like this. If you don't already have it open, get it open now so that you can write down the 5 components. The first thing that's necessary to get enough of daily is oxygen. The reason for this is because oxygen is a form of fuel for your cells. Oxygen helps produce energy and it supports the repair and growth of tissues. Without enough oxygen, your body can't effectively heal, remove waste products, or reduce inflammation. And you might think, okay, well, I'm breathing, so I'm getting enough oxygen, right? But the truth is that breathing doesn't guarantee your body is actually using oxygen efficiently. If you don't have good posture, if you take shallow breaths, or if you regularly experience stress for any reason, that can constrict and limit how much oxygen gets delivered to your muscles and tissues. So the solution that gets our #1 recommendation for this is that you actually do breath work every morning as part of your wake-up process. And if you've already gone through phase 1, champion activation, you know that we shared something with you called Energy Amplifier. This is an activity that uses breathwork to be able to guide you through a particular process of deep breathing. And when you spend 19 minutes every morning doing this, you reduce stress before it even starts, strengthen your lungs and heart, and boost your energy and mental alertness without caffeine because you're super oxygenating your system. That brings us to component number 2, which is exposure to natural light. And you need exposure to natural light because we've evolved in it, and our bodies actually rely on that light for certain biological processes. The problem with our modern lifestyle is that we now spend so much time indoors under artificial light, especially during certain times of year and in certain parts of the world, that we're experiencing quite a lot of disruptions in a lot of our body's natural processes. Processes like sleep, energy regulation, and hormone production. And fortunately, research shows us that we can actually fix these imbalances, combat stress, and improve your immune system by regularly getting outside 2 to 3 times a day. We'll talk more about how to do this in the rest of this video. We'll actually be walking you through customizing your own plan to be able to make sure that you're getting regular exposure to daylight because it's so important for your circadian rhythm. The good news is that even if you are in a place that doesn't have great weather or lots of sunshine, your body still benefits from getting exposure to natural light. Even if it's cloudy, you still have access to daylight that helps regulate your circadian rhythm and set you up for a better night of sleep so that you're physically and mentally stronger. That takes us to component number 3. You need to get adequate food. This is necessary because the food that you eat is where the building blocks for repair come from. For example, after you do strength training, your body needs to rebuild muscle fibers and various tissue, and that means that it's essential to continue receiving adequate amounts of protein. But that's not all, because whenever you burn a lot of calories, it's also necessary for your cells to replenish something called glycogen. And I won't get too technical here, but basically, glycogen is fuel. And when the supply in your muscles and liver gets empty and there's no more glycogen, you'll feel tired and you'll notice your performance drops. So you have to fill those stores back up. The way that you replenish that glycogen is by eating the right amounts of carbohydrates. And please note, this is not permission to just go out and eat as much as you want. If you're serious about getting lean and toned, it's absolutely necessary for you to understand how much food your body needs because it's very easy to get this wrong. Your best option is to stick to your ideal meal plan. For the reasons we discussed in phase 2, nourishment navigation, you need to be aware of your sweet spot numbers so that you can actually hit your customized targets in all areas of nutrition. Okay, so then, fourth component is movement. This is a non-negotiable. Even if you're feeling a bit unmotivated, stiff, or sore because movement does so much to be able to promote healing, reduce stiffness, and restore your range of motion. It may sound counterintuitive if you're new to fitness or if you've been inactive for a long time. You might think that the solution to feeling bad is to not use your body and just literally lay there for a few days. But actually, movement is a solution to relieve soreness and keep your joints mobile and your muscles bouncing back quicker. The specific reason why this is so effective is because when you move around, your blood flows faster. And that circulation is what delivers oxygen and nutrients from the food that you eat to your muscles and your organ tissues. And the circulation also helps clear away damaged cells. Plus, movement gets your lymphatic system going, and that helps flush out toxins and reduce inflammation. Our best recommendation for movement is that you do complete workouts. And of course, that's what we're covering here in phase 3, movement mastery. Our complete workout starts with something called dynamics and it finishes with stretching. When you do dynamics and stretching, like we're going to show you, the great thing is that you have an easy, undemanding routine that you can follow and guarantee that you get an adequate amount of movement on days that you're feeling sore or tired. So keep watching and learn for the details about exactly how to do complete workouts. And last but not least, component number 5 is to get adequate sleep. And I've heard so many people say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I used to even be one of those people. But honestly, there's far too much research confirming that you need to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep daily. So let's fill in the sleep benefits timeline so that you have a clear understanding of the breakdown of what your body does during the 8 hours of sleep. And please note that what we're sharing with you is a simplified explanation of what happens when you sleep. If you have a wearable that actually tracks your activity and sleep stages, you'll see that it's more nuanced and includes a stage of sleep called light sleep that we're not covering here. Our goal right now is to make sure that you're getting adequate deep sleep and REM sleep so that you get quality recovery. In the gray box here on the left, you can actually see that deep sleep is when your body is repairing muscles, replenishing glycogen, growing tissues, synthesizing protein, and repairing your immune system. All the way on the right, you can see REM sleep. And that's when your body is consolidating memories, organizing new information that's related to learning, improving creativity, and regulating your mood and stress. Now in the middle, we have the transition period between deep sleep and REM sleep. This is when your body is allowing the cardiovascular system to rest, balancing and regulating your hormones, and clearing toxins from the brain that cause cognitive decline. What you're looking at is a confirmation that sleep is vital for your brain and body, not just getting physically stronger, but also to manage stress. But what you may not realize is that these biological processes are happening on a particular schedule that's linked to your circadian rhythm. Right now, we're going to customize your sleep timeline for your schedule. You can see, if you look closely, that there are 4 little lines above the gray shape right here. One here on the left, another here, and also over here on the right. You're going to write 4 specific times on those lines. After you see our examples, you'll know how to customize it for yourself. On the first line, we're going to write the time we fall asleep.
For example, I tend to get the most deep sleep when I'm asleep by 10, so I would write 10 p.m. on the line here.
If you're not sure what time is best for you to be falling asleep, we invite you to bring this up during our weekly call for movement mastery so that we can discuss your situation and provide custom guidance. But for now, keep on watching so that you actually have a general sense of how this schedule works. On the second line, we're writing the time 2 hours after that.
For example, 10 p.m. plus 2 hours is 12 midnight, so I would write 12 a.m. here.
And what this means is your main period of deep sleep is happening in that 2-hour window. So pause the video now and take a moment to be able to write in the time that is optimal time to be able to fall asleep for yourself. Then add 2 hours. And now on the third line, we're writing the time 3 hours after that.
So for example, 12 a.m. plus 3 hours is 3 a.m. So I would write 3 a.m. here.
This means that the transition period is happening during those 3 hours. Again, pause the video and give yourself time to add your customized time. And finally, on the fourth line, you're adding another 3 hours.
So for example, 3 a.m. plus 3 hours is 6 a.m. So I would write 6 a.m. here.
This is how you identify your general window for when your REM sleep is mainly happening. Again, pause the video to be able to write in that last time for yourself. And when you're done, you can see the 8-hour period of what's happening after you fall asleep. And I think that we can all agree that your body and brain require all of those things. If you want to be able to show up healthy and strong day to day, if you want to carry yourself with authority and have that calm confidence, if you need the ability to be able to think creatively, to be able to fix problems and deal with stressful situations, then you need all of the benefits that you're getting on the sleep timeline, right? Because here's where a lot of people get surprised. Because people see the sleep timeline and they think, great, I'm going to fall asleep at 10 p.m. tonight. And then on the weekend, I'll fall asleep at 11 p.m. or maybe even 1 a.m. because I'm enjoying time with friends or just staying up late. So I'll just make sure that I get that extra sleep in the morning and make sure that I hit my 8 hours. The whole point is, the more consistently that you hit your bedtime, the better off that you'll be able to receive adequate amounts of deep and REM sleep, which are essential for your recovery. If you miss your ideal bedtime, or if you don't have a consistent bedtime, or your schedule varies greatly, your body may not enter deep sleep as efficiently or for as long as it could otherwise. And ultimately, that can disrupt how much energy you have day to day. And you'll see confirmation of this if you actually check your wearable device that monitors your sleep. Your sleep timeline is closely tied to your circadian rhythm, and it operates on a relatively consistent schedule. Even though the exact timing of sleep stages can change and move a little, there's a cost when you actually regularly delay your bedtime or wake up too early. So that's why we actually put a checkbox here for you to acknowledge. I understand that my circadian rhythm operates on its own schedule, and missing my bedtime doesn't actually delay my sleep timeline. It simply reduces my deep sleep, hindering essential recovery processes like muscle recovery and immune function. Similarly, waking up before completing REM sleep disrupts my brain's ability to learn, regulate stress, and think of new ideas. Because we really want you to take this seriously. Sleep is not just something to blow off or joke about that you'll do when you're dead. It's an essential part of allowing your body and brain to recover so that you're truly ready for what's coming next with work, family, and your training schedule as you get fit and stay fit. And we don't have time to be able to get into it, but sleep also helps you release body fat because there is so much hormonal regulation that happens during the transition phase. But there you have it. The 5 recovery components that you need to make sure you get adequate amounts of are oxygen, exposure to natural light, food, movement, and sleep. And understand, this isn't a menu where you can just pick and choose which 1 or 2 recovery components you like the most. All 5 matter. You could be doing everything right with your food, movement, breath work, and exposure to light, but if you don't prioritize sleep, that can throw everything off. So consistency really matters. And also, don't expect to have life-changing results after 1 breathwork session or 1 day of trying to optimize your circadian rhythm. It may take weeks or even a couple of months for you to transition fully into an optimized state. Your consistency is key with all of these areas to establish a balance for your body. Our highest priority is to make sure that this information lands for you in an actionable way so that you can truly improve your daily habits. Because without your intention and without some kind of plan to actually begin integrating this, all of this information just turns into another video that you info stuffed on but didn't actually see and get the results. So on page 106 and 107, you'll find this spread. And these sections are about identifying your bedtime sleep cues, as well as your daylight exposure and movement plan.
If you didn't do it yet, open up your playbook to page 106 and 107. You can see this big circle spreading across both pages has times of the day going around it. It's basically a giant 24-hour clock. If you're not used to 24-hour time or military time, please pause the video now and quickly add the regular 12-hour clock times like I'm showing here on screen so that this next part of the activity is easy and accurate for you.
What we're doing here is pretty simple, but don't underestimate the value of it. We're going to identify certain times of the day when you're planning on doing things. This is going to help you conceptualize the flow of your day so that you can organize and manage your time and make sure that you're doing the recovery activities that might otherwise get delayed or just forgotten about and skipped altogether. So let's start with the bedtime sleep cues. We want to make sure that you're optimizing your deep sleep so that you're getting the maximum benefits of all of the immune system and muscle repair and protein synthesis activities that happen during that time. First, you'll identify your optimal time to fall asleep. Second, you'll label your fall asleep time on the clock. Then third, working backwards from when you should be falling asleep, identify what time you'll turn off the light and begin that latency period of your sleep, get in bed, Activate a blue light filter on your phone. Do things to unwind, like stretching, showering, reading, writing, or taking a walk. And also when you're going to stop eating.
And if the concept of latency is new for you, you might want to add an extra note here that this is just a fancy way of saying falling asleep. Latency is essentially the transition you go through from being awake to being asleep. And you can see an example of latency when you look at the data from my sleep tracker. A lot of wearable devices give you some kind of timeline that visually shows how much time we spend in each sleep stage, so it would be a great idea to explore the app for your device later. But right now, you can see I was awake from 9:55 to 10:08, which is being calculated as part of my latency, and then I dropped down into light sleep from 10:08 to 10:17, and probably there were some noises in the neighborhood that woke me back up, so I went back up to awake from 10:17 to 10:23, then I dropped back into light sleep from 10:23 to 10:26, and then I finally dropped into deep sleep. The whole point is that getting to deep sleep can be a process, and that's why it's valuable for you to go through this activity on this page so that you're engineering ideal conditions and setting yourself up for success. Let me walk you through an example of how you could fill out your page. My first step is to identify my optimal time to fall asleep. From looking at the logs in my sleep tracker, we know I get the most deep sleep when I start falling asleep and my latency begins around 10 p.m. So I would write that here. And now I'm working backward to reverse engineer the conditions where it's easy for me to actually fall asleep at that time. I find that if I do about 20 minutes of breath work and then read fiction for 10 minutes before that, it's much easier for my brain to let go of work projects. So that means that I need to get in bed around 9:30. And that way I can spend about 10 minutes reading and 20 minutes doing breath work. But to help my body feel ready to get into bed at that time, earlier, around 8 p.m., I turn on a blue light filter on my phone so that my eyes aren't exposed to that anymore. I also dim the lights in the room, or I switch to candles. And more than likely, I've also just finished a short evening walk or enjoyed some tea. And I also stop eating around 7 p.m. so that my body can finish digesting food. And that example that you're seeing here gives you an idea of how you can fill out your own page.
And I know your lifestyle is probably way different from Jamie's, but don't let that stop you from customizing this to your situation and trusting the process. Don't overthink this. You can't do this wrong because you're customizing this sheet for your schedule and life in the way that makes sense for you. So pause the video, reverse engineer how you'll actually spend those 3 hours before you enter that deep sleep. Now, every day is different. So of course, there will be nights that you won't be able to follow this perfectly for various reasons. Regardless, what you're seeing is an intentional plan that supports your recovery and helps you get all of the benefits that you saw on the sleep timeline. And as you gain experience, you're going to be able to notice your own bedtime sleep cues. So for example, you may discover that taking a slightly cool shower works better for preparing your body to be able to sleep than a hot shower does. And the only way to find out is to try, right? You want to approach your bedtime sleep cues with an open mind and curiosity. Your recovery, of course, must be tailored to you. This timeline that you've just laid out for yourself gives you the basic structure to begin that experiment today. All you need to do is commit to it. So that's how to play well with your circadian rhythm at the end of the day.
Now let's talk about how to play well with your circadian rhythm at the beginning of the day. That's why we've got this section here for your daylight exposure and movement plan. The reason we share this with you is so that you're setting a schedule that prioritizes the other components of recovery. The first step is to identify your regular wake-up time. Ideally, this is 7 to 9 hours after you fall asleep. You're going to label that wake-up time on the clock like this example you're seeing here. Next, you can start scheduling other priorities. For example, you want to choose a time to do the energy amplifier. That's the breathwork file that we give you in phase 1 champion activation. In our opinion, it's a non-negotiable every day because it improves oxygen delivery to muscles and activates the parasympathetic nervous system so we manage stress better. You also want to choose a time to take a 20-minute walk. It's beneficial to do that within an hour of waking up because it helps reset your circadian rhythm and hormones while helping you get in some valuable steps in a very easy low heart rate zone. Plus, you can listen to your activation code during that walk, and it's a really effective and efficient 20 minutes. You can see I'm also scheduling in breakfast and then around 11:30 my oatmeal, after which I take a 15-minute walk. We do recommend you schedule a second walk midday so that you've got another opportunity to get more exposure to daylight. It's also important to decide when you'll do complete workouts so that you're getting all the benefits they deliver. It's okay if you're not yet exactly sure what to do during your complete workout, because we're going to be covering that in detail in the upcoming videos. Right now, your goal is simply to choose a time that you can regularly block off and commit to. You can also add in your other meals, and for example, you can see here I've added my lunch, my protein shake, and my dinner. After you've added your times, it might look something like this. So pause the video again and take the time you need to add your customization.
And congratulations, you've just completed the preliminary plan for your customized recovery schedule. This is a broad overview of how you can schedule in your sleep, breathwork, movement, and exposure to natural light so that your recovery is supported. It's important to remember that the effects of this are cumulative. You might feel pretty good after the first time that you complete a full cycle, but trust us, the real results happen after you've completed many cycles of this. And we can't wait to hear about all of your wins and celebrations, because when you stay committed to your recovery for a few months, you'll find that you can smoothly transition between the different times of day with energy that adjust appropriately without needing a bunch of caffeine or random snacks to stay focused or productive. Enjoy your recovery, and let's continue to rock.